You spent the last 25 years serving thousands of people by helping them protect and provide for the people they love and care about most. Why?
I had dropped out of college. I got sober when I was 21. We struggled financially. Being broke and not having resources, it's a miserable world to live a part of. But at the same time, it can either break you for the rest of your life, or you can choose to kind of break the chains and go in a different direction. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Life's not a dress rehearsal. And I used to think when my kids were younger, I wanted them to be whatever. And today my wish is that they're comfortable in their own skin, they're good citizens, they provide for themselves, they love life, and they're kind to other people. I know that God uses me as a tool to break the chain.
One of the things you said from stage, you said you wanted your gravestone to say, "Here lies Chris Koon, 100% used up."
On the epithets of the world, most people would say, there lays John Doe 10% used up, there Mary Jane 15% used up, and I wanted it to say on mine, there lies Christopher O. Koon, running on fumes, running on empty, 100% used up. That we squeezed everything that we could out of this great life. At the end, the vision I always have in my mind is I'm surrounded by my kids and my grandkids, wrapped in just love, and know that the legacy will continue with future generations of people that are out making a difference in the world, and knowing that anything's possible with the work and the right attitude and the belief.
This is Sparta!
Welcome back to Spartan Leadership. I'm your host, Josh Kosnick. Hey, this is your reminder, as always, we are bringing the heat with episode after episode of impact just for you. So please share these episodes if you're impacted in any sort of way. And I know you're going to get some energy today. You're probably going to laugh today, and you're definitely going to learn, because I got my good friend Chris Koon with me. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a financial professional, if you are a leader, all the same, turn up your volume, get your pens ready, because dude is going to bring the energy. He knows no other way. So he comes to us with 25 plus years of experience in the financial services industry. He's been a leader. He's been one of the top producers in the country for one of the most respected firms in the country. And most importantly, husband and proud father of three, coming from St. Louis, Missouri, Chris Koon. Welcome to Spartan Leadership, brother.
Thanks, Josh, man. It's so good to be with you, brother. I just love what you're doing. And I was really honored when you asked me to join you today. I respect you. And I think, right back at you, you're bringing great content to people. You're a great leader and motivator, and inspire me to definitely live a Spartan type life. So I was excited to get together with you.
I appreciate it. And we got to hang in Vegas at Ben Newman's thing and reconnect.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we got to share that big old tomahawk Wagyu steak at STK.
STK.
Yeah, that was great, man.
It was great.
Great night. So I want to start by introducing you, and then we can move into many gifts you share with the world on a daily basis. It was fun. So Chris doesn't know I did this, but I actually reached out to a few of our mutual friends and asked them, hey, what question would they ask Chris Koon if they could ask him one question?
Wow.
So some of those questions are going to come from some mutual friends, but those who know Chris know that he thinks big and lives large. And I forgot to ask you about this, if you completed it or not, but you were going to take on the 29029. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Challenge last year. 29029. Did you take that on last year?
We did. My friend Adam Gilmore and I did. We signed up for Jackson Hole, which was the new mountain. And for all of those that haven't heard of the event, it's Jesse Itzler's event, and they have like 6 or 7 different mountains across the country, and you climb 29,000 vertical feet, or equivalent of Mount Everest. In ours, we had 36 hours to do it 19 times, and it was 1.1 miles straight up in Jackson Hole, and it was brutal. I've done 19 marathons, and this was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but 69% of the field got the red hat. So on your final descent, you wear a red bib and you get the red hat as the objective. And we got it done. I did 13 the first day, and then slept and felt awful, and got up in the morning, was sick, and you name it, and got out and nailed the next 6 that I had to do. And I got finished about 12:30 in the afternoon the second day.
Man, what did you learn about yourself in that?
I was digging deep inside because I went out a little too fast, and my buddy and I thought we would do this together. And after the first lap, we never saw each other again, really, pretty much. I learned a couple of things. One is to be present in the moment, one step at a time, and not to be overwhelmed, because when you're out there and it's hot and you're looking at this mountain and you're not feeling it, that can become overwhelming and kind of take your mind into the wrong direction. So it really taught me a valuable lesson in just being present and really being where your feet are in that moment, and just to keep moving forward, even the little steps, just continually doing those. And then towards the end, like anything, you could see the finish line. And then I enjoyed the companionship of other brothers and sisters, out on the quest. The type of individuals that do events like this are people that are like you and I, that are wired to take as much as they can out of this short time on earth that we have. And it was a great experience. And two, taught me the last thing is that when we commit things, you do the training. So we did all the training. We had a 12-hour day where we did, we walked for 12 hours. We ended up doing 34 miles in the time frame. And if you do the training, then you'll get the results that you want. So it's just but it felt great to do something that pushed me from a mental perspective. Yeah,
for sure. I was thinking about that because you're a very gifted endurance runner, something that I don't see as one of my gifts. I'm built more for speed. I was a wide receiver. I can run 100 yards real fast. But
you're chiseled. I mean, you got muscles that I don't dream of.
But thank you. But yeah, we all have our gifts, and you've been gifted with that since a young age of really focusing on running and all that. And you've done all those marathons. What have those taught you? And I know you've done Boston, New York City, seemingly all the big ones, right? And was there any one that stood out to you and like overcoming anything, or just really what have they taught you and why have you leaned into that over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, two things. I mean, I think, exercise, for me is a good brain health. I think, it's medicine. It's a way to really think about your future and to really burn some of the anxious energy, at least that I carry inside myself. And, when I got into financial services, a lot of people were, wanting to live, a healthy, vibrant life. And I got involved with a running group. We did 2 marathons, a year for like 10 years, and it was attorneys and doctors and just a great group. And we just had a lot of fun, and breaking 3 hours was always the threshold that I wanted to get to. And in 2009 in Houston in January, I did 2:59:04.
Nice.
And, to do that was a great, experience. And then Chicago that following year did 2:59:45. So you think over 26.2 miles, it came down to 15 seconds. But I still was able to accomplish it. So that was a huge deal. But the one that meant the most to me was to qualify to run the Boston Marathon. I had to go under 3:10. And the first year I tried to do it, I did the first year I went to do it. I hate the word try, by the way. I did a 3:14, so I missed it. The next year I came back, I did 3:09:51. And I made it essentially by 9 seconds. And that just brought me to tears, and the work and just the commitment to doing it and the follow through and the support of people. That was just a great experience. And just to celebrate, again, kind of, pushing yourself but to celebrate with the people. Chicago Marathon, the fans are the best in the world. I mean, it takes you through every bureau of the city and everybody embraces it. The energy of Chicago Marathon is and Boston as well, are just 2 of the greatest marathons I ever ran.
Yeah, Chicago in the summer, for those that haven't visited, is a special place.
Gorgeous.
It's awesome. The activity on the lakeshore, the marathon, the activities that come into town, concerts, stuff of that nature. Yeah, for those that haven't experienced Chicago in the summer, highly recommend. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. I wanted to get that out of you, though, because like you mentioned, doing really hard things and being able to overcome mentally and persevere physically, you get this sense of pride and accomplishment that you just don't get in other areas if you're not pushing yourself on a regular basis. And I wanted to get that out of you on the physical sense before we talk about some of the professional stuff. So that's really good perspective. So you've spent the last 25 years serving thousands of people by helping them protect and provide for the people they love and care about most. Why? What is it behind your why, that behind all you've done to impact lives far and wide? And, what got you into the game in the first place? And I know this story, but I want others to
Yeah,
hear
at
this.
the end of the day, I'm dyslexic. I did a couple of years of kindergarten. I struggled. I struggled in the school system, and I was a great runner as a kid. That's really, but I had dropped out of college. I got sober when I was 21, which will be, God willing, November 23rd, it'll be 33 years. And, my grandfather had been really successful. And my mom struggled. We struggled financially. And being broke and not having resources is just it's a miserable world to live a part of. But at the same time, it can either break you for the rest of your life, or you can choose to kind of break the chains and go in a different direction. And I knew God had given me the gifts to get along well with people, and that was going to be, where I wanted to go into sales I always wanted my own business. My dad had been mandatorily retired, and I got the opportunity. I was impacted by John Qualley, and just a super motivating,
amazing leader.
Students ready, teachers appear. And
yeah, I
had $1,000 to my name, a car that I pop started, and I was all in. I had burned the boats, as they'd say, and just I wanted to be successful so bad, Josh, that I was willing to do whatever it took. I was looking for an industry that would allow me to excel, an environment that would give me the tools that I needed and the resources to be successful. And it's kind of what Jim Rohn said, that success is something you attract by the person you become. And the relationships that I built in my practice with the families and the clients is really so enriching, and helping people navigate their financial lives in a world where we just have done a horrible job at educating, families and kids, and the importance of saving money consistently, protecting your family. If you think about it, insurance, being able to make sure that, if you and I stroked out here on your podcast and never, I know your family, and it's your wife's birthday, happy birthday, she would be living a life with your children. They wouldn't miss a beat. They would obviously miss you, but they'd never miss a beat because of what you've done. Yeah. Helping people in that arena to save money, to retire with dignity. Eventually, we all get tired, and you have people at work and money at work. Unfortunately, in our world, we have more month at the end of the money than most people have, right? So nobody does a really good job with a plan. And I love helping people change the direction of their life and have choices. And now I've been in it long enough in the game that I've seen people that get retired early because companies change their philosophies or whatever. And if you haven't done a good job in savings, you're, SOL, really. I hate to say it, So, I know that when we meet with people, it can be one of the most meaningful and most important meetings that they would ever have in their entire life. And that's a privilege and an honor and a responsibility. And I just love taking it out to the world.
No, and I know that about you. I just wanted everyone to hear it. It's so rewarding to hear you talk about your story, and you brush over it, right? You and our good friend Carl are both dyslexic and have become phenomenal successes. And I talk about Carl sometimes when I describe him as, he turned his disability as a child into a superpower as an adult, because he's the only person I know that could sit in a deer stand and listen to an investment exam CD and pass the test the next day. He learned how to learn auditory. It's just, crazy how you can overcome things with the proper support and people around you and just perseverance in yourself. And so similar to you, overcoming that through school, but then also choosing sobriety at a really young age. I remember being at a Rule the Room event with you, and there was cocktail hour. And I asked you, I said, hey, Chris, does it bother you? Because I knew you were sober at that time. And I was like, does it bother you at all being in these environments? And by the way, Chris at this time had a Red Bull in his hand. And I said, Chris, you're the last person on the planet that needs a Red Bull in his hand. And you're like, no, it's been so long. And again, just chosen one day at a time. And you just had this really, contrite and sincere answer and just way about you that was just very secure in it. And, but I also wanted to be cognizant because I knew that about you. And it was cool to hear your response and cool to see that you were committed that long. And, like you said, one day at a time, God willing, 33 years and in about a month.
Yeah,
It's a
it is.
freaking amazing thing.
Thanks. Yeah. No, it's been a great. I mean, I wouldn't be here with you enjoying your podcast that I continued on the course I was on, and I'm just so thankful that God chose for me at a young age to get it so that I could enjoy the rest of life. And the one thing I was going to say with Ian, Carl's an amazing. Love that guy. Labeling's disabling. In our world, especially in the school system, which is such a really small part of our life, but has a huge imprint on our life. And when people want to box us and label us, but we all learn differently. I'm like Carl, auditory visual. I've listened to everything. If I've ever met you, I just never forget it. I have a memory that's, I can go back to basically almost in the crib, memory wise. It's crazy. I just really have enjoyed my life and that in our careers, gives us that opportunity to, our friendship. Just being around people. That was what was so great with the event that we were at together, to be around, so many people that are just committed to being the best versions of themselves and are humble. To me, that's a great gift too, being humble. But
yes, that was a great group. And I think that people, for those that haven't found their tribe and put themselves in rooms like you and I were in, I really got to encourage you to do that. Like finding people that are like-minded, that are high achievers, that are humble, that want to see you win. Because a lot of times people from your hometown, people that you grew up with, they may outwardly say they want you to win, but they really truly don't, and are kind of the crabs pulling you down because they're unwilling to change. But when you can find a tribe of people that, a network of people that are truly want you to win, that you may have only known them for 6 months, but they become better friends than someone you've known for 6 years or 60 years. And it's not the time, it's not the longevity, it's the depth that you can go with certain people. And like you said, that room was full of those type of people that we got to feed off of and gain energy from.
Right.
So
now
bring
energy too.
And bring energy too. That's right. And now that you've been touched and you've touched so many lives, you've been on been able to like drastically change the trajectory of your wife and your children. Like Ed Milet says, you were the one. You chose to put a stake in the ground and change your family's trajectory. And I don't know if that's ever hit you before like that, to say like, it was me. I stuck the stake in the ground and said, I'm not going to let my family grow up the way I grew up. And I'm going to change that. And I'm going to put in the work to change that as a human being and then as a professional. And you did that. And now your kids get to make that choice going forward for their kids. Now being at this stage, being an empty nester, has that hit you in a different way?
I mean, it does. That's a great question. And, first off, I think when I was listening to you say that, I'm just so thankful that we are, born, that we had the privilege of being born in the greatest country in the world, to a country where we can, share today like we're sharing, and where we can wake up and we can watch sports and you can smoke a cigar, and we're just so blessed from that perspective. And for me, it's life's not a dress rehearsal. And I think what I want to and I used to think when my kids were younger, I want them to be whatever. And today my wish is that they're comfortable in their own skin, they're good citizens, they provide for themselves, they love life, and they're kind to other people. I know that God uses me as a tool to break the chain. And I'm just so thankful, that he did do that. And I'm thankful that I'm open-minded to want to continually change. I'm 54, but I feel like I'm 24. I'm like, this thing's moving so fast, Josh, but the way you summed it up with my family, that is a huge deal. And I appreciate you doing it that way.
Yeah. Well, I remember you gave a talk. This was younger in my career. And you gave this talk, high energy. Lil Wayne and I can't remember the other artists, were the walk-up song you chose.
Yeah, all I do is win.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You came up high energy. And one of the things you said from stage, and you'll have to correct me on speaking on this, but basically you said you wanted your gravestone to say, "Here lies Chris Koon, 100% used up." And how'd you put that? Because it was so good.
Yeah, no, that's so good you have a memory, and that's, so I was listening to one of my first roundtable speakers, a guy out of London, who got that. But basically it'd say on the epithets of the world, most people would say, their lace John Doe, 10% used up, their Mary Jane, 15% used up. And, I wanted it to say on mine, their lies Christopher Koon, running on fumes, running on empty, 100% used up. And
Yeah, that's
we
so
got
good.
every single, deal out of life. That we squeezed everything that we could out of this great life, that, at the end, the vision I always and have in my mind is I'm surrounded by my kids and my grandkids, and I'm wrapped in just love of love of love, and know that the legacy will continue, with future generations of people that are, out making a difference in the world, and knowing that anything's possible with the work and the right attitude and the belief, to get better. Now, this is an interesting thing that I witnessed yesterday, though, Josh. So I was traveling back from Arizona, and there were 7 wheelchairs going in on the airplane, 7, with one person helping them get on board, surrounded by probably a good 200 plus people. And acts of service is a big deal to me, or helping other humans. The next thing you know, and I'm not saying this to put myself up on a pedestal, but to really encourage people to pay attention. So I went and I started taking the husband and the wife and moving these wheelchairs up to the door so that we could all get on the plane quicker, because we all wanted to get on the plane quicker. And somebody looked at me like, what are you doing that for? But it was such a glaring example of where you could be, kind and do something to help somebody else move forward. And so many people talk about that's what they want to do, or that's what they're actually doing. But in reality, it's talk and there's no action.
Yes.
And that's what I love about what we do and the people we associate ourselves with, is what are you doing when nobody's looking? What kind of human being are you when there are no cameras? Nobody knows who you are from Adam. You're just another, human running around on the planet. How are you treating others? And to me, that was just a blind example of what an opportunity we have to help people be better.
Yeah, Chris didn't ask for permission. Just went and did it.
Just did it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So now that you're to this point in your career, because a lot of entrepreneurs listen to the show, a lot of financial advisors that might be early stage, what percentage of your time would you say is spent in the business versus on the business versus away from the business entirely? Because I know, like you just said, you got back from Arizona yesterday, visiting with your family, celebrating your wife's birthday. That was away from the business. So what percentage, give some people some hope now that you put in all this hard work, all this blood, sweat, and tears. What's it look like now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I still wake up on Mondays always fearful, that I'm going to run out of money and I got to do, I'm wired that way that I got to do certain things. But, I really now, I come in generally between 7 and 8, and I usually leave by 4. Most days, most Fridays, I'm done, at lunchtime, and I'll go play golf or do something like that. As you said, I put the work in to have the compounding effect and the time value of building a practice to where it gives you the choices to pull back a little bit and go in different directions. And I think everybody wants that freedom, but the younger generation needs to do the work and have the environment and the standard, kind of like Ben said, there's a standard of being successful, and you just don't go under that standard. Like, I really took that away from Vegas, it was like, man, I have standards and I still live that code of honor, to my practice. But the beauty is like, through the pandemic or whatever, as we can go be where we need to be at any time for what's important to us in our lives at that time, because of the work that we did over the last 28 years. And I'm excited for what the future looks like too. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, I'm not looking to go and, I don't look at retirement. I'm looking like, let's get into a higher gear and take it to a higher level.
Yep. No, yeah, you're not coasting. Like you said, you want to go 100% on fumes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So burn up at the end. So I just want to give some perspective to those that might be in building mode right now and feeling that is this ever going to get better? And I know you're a living example that it does. So I wanted them to hear that from you. And I know from experience that your current time allocation has not always been the case. So rewind to previous, show them a little bit of what the work looked like. And when you were, say, in your first 5 years of starting your business, what did the time breakdown look like then?
Oh, I was, 65, 70 hours a week. I was in at, 7 in the morning. I was going to people's houses at 7, 8 o'clock at night. I was doing Saturday mornings. I mean, at the end of the day, when I made a decision to have my own business, I was no longer 9 to 5. I wasn't going to cut it. So I was all into whatever it took for the first 5 years, because they always said if you got to 5 years, you had a 95% retention that you'd stay here for your whole career. And the other thing is, when you love what you do and you enjoyed it, like, it wasn't like a job. It was a career. It was my business that we were building something of significance, and I had a family, and I wanted to have a really good life. And I knew that I was in a profession that, and the other thing that I would share with you too, is when you're calling people, when your why is important and you know that you're calling with a very valuable reason, nobody cares about you or your future that you're calling. And so I woke up to that real early in life, is like, really loyalty is something I really value, but very few people have it. But when you want to help somebody, like, when I know I'm calling somebody and they don't care where I'm going, I do care where I'm going, and I cared about my family. I got really goosebumps when my daughter graduated college last year. Like I love seeing my kids flourish, and I know that what we bring to the table is valuable. And so just that rhinoceros, skin, thick skin, realizing that it was just so important and so many people needed help. I just wanted to stick with the winners. To your point again, I always want to be around people that force me to level up, and success is rented, and the rent's, paid on a daily basis.
That's right.
And you never arrive anywhere, really. We're just always, changing, where we're headed and how we're headed and who we're working with, but it never stops.
No, I love that you said that. Actually, my first motto, or my phrase of the year when I took over as managing partner, was strive not to arrive.
Oh, nice.
Like that was it. As I was focused on making sure that not just, that was more for me than it was even my team, because I had seen so many people that, whether they became managing partner in Northwestern Mutual, or they became a business owner, they took over a business, or they get to this mountaintop and they start coasting, or they take the foot off the gas. When that's, in actuality, that's the time to step on the gas and continue, not just because you achieved your dream. It's to continue, like you said, to roll in with fumes and give everything you got and make sure that you've used up every talent and gift that God gave you. So I just thought, like, for whatever reason, that phrase stuck in my head and I'll never forget it. And I made sure that we stepped on the gas that year, not because I just took over that things are all hunky-dory and everything's going to continue being gravy. It's like, no, we got to make sure that we don't become complacent. So let's strive not to arrive.
Right. Absolutely.
So let's switch the focus a little. Think back, middle term of your business, crucial years and for many reasons. What is something like one intentionality that you implemented into your life or business that greatly impacted the financial and time freedom that you have today?
I mean, I was just always very intentional on the activity part of the things that I could control in our practice.
Top of the funnel type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, like the phone's the cash register. You do, my 200 dials per week, 800 dials a month, 25 referrals a week, 5 referrals a day, 100, those were the two main drivers that I was super intentional on. And then personal observation, just meeting, like always going and finding the people that like love being around successful people, and then have the courage to call them and just get really excited about calling them just to get to know them too. I think that's the cool thing with what we do, is that, I'm just a blank piece of paper when I come to meet with you. But if we can bond and we can connect, and we may be able to help each other. If not, it's okay. But just even being around you, I'm going to be a better soul and a better human because of the fact that I was around somebody that's achieving something of significance. And most people say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Big are all taken care of, so they never call on them. But everybody puts their pants on the same way. Everybody has a story, and everybody loves to talk about themselves. And so I've just always been so intentional in getting and connecting with great people.
Yeah. I know that about you. It's awesome to see you say that and feel that and recognize it in yourself as well. Before we get off this point in the career piece, one of the things that I think you're best at is bringing energy to every conversation and intentionality and care. Would you mind role playing some phoning language with us?
Not at all. You wanted me to call Josh?
Yeah, call me, buddy.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. Who's this?
This is actually Chris Koon calling. I don't know if John Qualley had mentioned to you, I'd be reaching out to you.
No, he actually did not.
He's an awesome guy.
I love John. Yeah.
No, I do too. And he spoke very highly of you. And I have my own planning practice in the financial services arena and do a lot of work with John, have for many years. And in my practice, it's critical that I get out in front of great people, people that are really knocking the cover off the ball, people that love life, are really just, disciplined, have great habits and love their families. And when I was talking with John about people like that, your name came top of mind to him, and he just spoke super highly of you and just said you and your wife have beautiful children, you love the Bears, you like smoking your cigars, and you're a Spartan from like the 300s. I personally wanted to call you to see if I could accomplish two objectives, but one, just have an opportunity to connect with you for 15 or 20 minutes. And then secondly, see if I could share with you some of the ideas and strategies that I bring to the marketplace to see if I can be of value to you and your family.
Yeah, I don't know if you could be of value, but you seem, like a great dude. And obviously if John likes you, it's highly likely that I might like you as well. But I'd be open for 15 minutes.
All right, now act like you work with somebody.
All right. Well, John may have mentioned this, but I do have an advisor already that I work with, and I'm not sure that you could bring value to the table. And my time is very important to me.
I understand. Time is our most valuable resource we have. It's the most, we can't get it back at all. And I'm not in the relationship replacement business, Josh. I don't think any one person has all the ideas in the marketplace cornered. And sometimes just hearing about new tax strategies and things that are changing in the marketplace can bring value to you to help enhance your current relationship, or I may bring something to the table to complement your current relationship, or we may even wow you and you're seeing that you're not getting a lot of the things that you could have in a relationship, and you'd love to work with us moving forward.
Yeah. Everybody, I hope you captured that, rewind that, because the first time, like, Chris makes you comfortable so like you don't even want to say no at first. Now, I know that we're already we're hardwired as people when we answer a phone call and perceive it as sales, that we're automatically at guard. And so one of the coolest things that Chris does is he is 100% authentic in every word that he's saying. That's first and foremost, I think, as I take that and listen to that. Secondly, he's comfortable in his own skin to say, hey, I may or may not have the answers, but I do have some answers. And I want to make sure that I'm providing as much value based on the recommendation that our mutual friend John had to say. So I wanted to give, because you're so dang good at just being you and overcoming objections in such an authentic way. I want to give people that opportunity. So thanks for humoring me and going
All right, can I give
it.
him one last thing? So with the third time, if you said like the third objection was, hey, I'm so busy. I'm like, Josh, you're busy. I'm busy. We're all busy. One of two things could happen from our call. One is we could start a friendship, which wouldn't be that bad. But secondly, much more important than that, is Josh, is that I might bring an idea to the table that would significantly impact you and your family, and I don't think that would be that bad. Do you?
No, not at all.
And then and if he says no to that, then we just say next, and we're on to the next one. Again, I don't get tied to the person. I just know that I have my activities and my habits that I have to do. And if I do those consistently, then then I'm going to hear those golden yeses.
With that authenticity and that persistence through the no's, how often are you even hearing no at this juncture?
It's the power of the referral. So two things. What I found is one is when I was broke as a joke, I was much better at getting referrals than I am today when I have a little bit of resources. So I just what I'm saying. That's why you got to read. But yeah. The other thing is that the caliber of referral. When you get referred from an awesome individual, like if you were to refer me to 5 of your closest friends, I know that most of them would be open to at least a 15 or 20 minute conversation because of the respect that they hold for you. But when I was younger and I'm trying to climb up that ladder, it was, I was 60, 70% of the time, phoning. I'm probably 75 to 80% of the time now if I get them on the phone to get at least the opportunity to do a 15, 20 minute phone conversation.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about that language as well is that any sales person could replicate some form of that language, because what Chris was focused on was the value that he potentially could provide, not the sale. And because we don't know if we can help them or not help them. We may assume that we could, whether you're trying to sell a new roof to someone, you drove by their house and you see there's some damage. They might be trying to sell that house in the next 6 months. They don't want to replace the roof. but you may have a solution for them, and they may want that solution, but you got to focus on the value that you could potentially provide, not trying to sell them something there over the phone.
Well, and you say like, and that's the thing where people, when you're trying to sell somebody something, like those days are gone. What I have found in this business, when you're living a life on purpose and growth and wanting to be your best person, when you're around great people, eventually they want to know, what do you do? Like, tell me about yourself. And then when you do, it's amazing how much opportunity sometimes just comes to you because people want help in your area of expertise that they didn't even know you had.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I'm going to make sure I get through my questions from our mutual friends before we let you go today. From our mutual friend, Carl Detman. What is the biggest regrets you hear about from your older clients and or the people you look up to the most?
Carl has always got the great. I love David, his brother too. They're both just amazing.
Well, they're twins. They have to be both amazing people.
Yeah, right? They're incredible. The big regret is when we're younger in this profession, we tend to allow our clients to dictate what they should and shouldn't do, and even though they don't have the knowledge or the expertise or the experience. And had we been a little bit more courageous and letting them know from the plan that what they need to be doing, and had some stern recommendations at times and push them harder, because many have come back and said, I wish I had done more. I wish I had listened to you at this time. And so that is, for me, would be your badge of honor or your Spartan shield, is to really help people really think much bigger than what they think in the moment of, because when you're young and you're raising a family and you're making the money, it's hard to think about, but time goes by like that, and time value of money. So I would have just had more courage and hung in there and made people save much more than they did.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying there in a real simple sense is tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Amen.
Yeah. This is a very Carl question. What is something you really like about yourself? What is something Chris loves about Chris?
I would say what I love is that, and I really think it came from God for me, is, I really love meeting people. And when I engage with people, I've got a loving heart, and I love celebrating others' wins and seeing them do well. And I love too that I've gotten away from so much ego. Like, when I'm just being a good soul, just being a good person, like you don't have to tell somebody what you have and all you have. Just be an example of a great person. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
no, it does, because you are a great person. All right. From our friend Ben Newman. How do you stay so full of energy and passion and zest for life? No one matches your energy.
And Ben, you talk about a guy that's just gone to a whole nother level. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And that's what he has to say about you, Chris Koon.
Oh, you're so kind. No, what it is it's a couple of things. I think, having seen the darkness that I saw in my life and being as low as I was when I was younger, and I got sober, and I think seeing that, people come and go in our lives, and we're really not here on earth for so long. So I really want to tap into, I wake up in the morning and I say my prayers, I read my books, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm getting my unrequired type workouts in. I'm listening, I'm talking to friends on the phone, I'm telling my kids and my wife and my family that I love them. Attitude of gratitude, a gratitude list. And so I just like love like what we just are doing today. Like I just love this parts of life, and it just gives me so much excitement about what's possible and the impact that we can have to help others be their best selves and be comfortable in their own skin. I mean, I just love that I'm alive and well, and I can work out, and I can push myself. And I just look at some people my age and I think, oh Lord, they're in trouble.
Yes. All right. What's interesting is you probably could have guessed who these questions were from, most of them. So the next one from Jason Tedick. What's the most important personal people skill that you need in order to be great at this business? In how do you phrase this? In order to stay great and how do you weave that into your family?
I think the greatest thing that we have to do is the ability to ask great questions and really listen.
Yeah.
People will tell us, they'll tell us everything that we want to know, but if we really care and we're able to connect with them, that's where the magic happens. And where I take that into my family is being more present as a husband, and asking my wife great questions and wanting to do a better job and honoring her and our commitment and our kids. Because for a long time, I think I was so driven in the business and asking the great questions of every client that I had, but in my own home, I wasn't always doing it the best. So I want to transcend that into my own house as well.
Yeah, that's good. All right, from his brother Jim Tedick, if you were only allowed to give one piece of coaching advice to your best friend or family member about having a successful career as an advisor, what would that one piece of advice be?
To look in the mirror every day and look back at yourself and know that you are worthy of anything that you put the time and commitment and energy into, that you will win, that you are an awesome soul. You have everything built inside your DNA. God made you perfect. You're awesome. You're helpful. And because the demons, the self-talk, our stories, right, that we've had in our lives, pull us back sometimes to a familiar, and we need to break away from the familiar and just know that person looking at you can do all those things.
It's interesting. I love that. A lot of people struggle with worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. It's interesting. I was having one of my masterminds, which was all high achievers, and we were having a goals conversation, end of year vision planning conversation. And I can't remember the exact question he asked about struggling on that. He was struggling on the topic of goals and vision. And I just asked, I said, I won't say the name, but I'll say, can I ask you, do you feel worthy of hitting that goal? Do you feel worthy of setting those goals? And he just went silent. And he goes, shh, you just hit it. And this is a man slightly younger than you, but about 50. And great person. And he's doing big things, but yet still struggles with that worthiness.
Yeah.
And that may come from childhood for a lot of folks, may come from some emotional abuse as an adult, whatever it may be, but a lot of people are struggling with worthiness. And you are right. God put everything that we need inside of us. We just got to believe it and lean into him for the power.
Yes, that's it. Perfect.
So, all right, this one's for me. You are one of the most authentic people I know. Chris is dressed tame today, but man, I love Chris's style whenever he comes out. He is 100% him, does not give two shits what others think of his style or how he shows up as a person. He is him. What does authenticity mean to you, and how have you led in that matter for those you love?
Man, Josh, you came prepared. I love it. For me is that I've always liked, I love clothes. I love looking, I just like really nice things, and I like matching things together. And I think it's who we, so many people just, dress the same, the herd mentality, they all want to look the same, dress the same. And, I've always wanted to be, my other self, I wanted to be confident in myself, that I can wear whatever I wanted to. I knew that it looked good. Like, I can match things together, but I want to have that kind of just that wow, like, you're an amazing dresser and you got amazing blazers and coats and things. And we get a first impression with somebody, and, for somebody to be like, holy cow, man, I just absolutely love that blazer, or man, those shoes are just unbelievable. And, just, man, that shirt, man, the detail, Carl's a great dresser. It's an opportunity for people to see that we care so much about ourselves. And we just look, we set ourselves apart, from, every other Tom, Dick, and Harry, we're coming across and like, holy cow. That's what energy is too, man. At the end of the day, I think people meet, they don't always remember everything that happened in our meetings, but they're like, Jesus, I feel better for meeting with the guy. He's just energy. Like, I just want to have him come by once a year and just sit down with me, because he's just going a million miles an hour. But, I just love, I just think that dress, you have an opportunity to really set yourself apart. Like I was known as the sock man for years,
Yeah, you were. I don't know. You probably sold more socks than most dress stores.
Right, no doubt, or more. Yes, I know. I mean, because and that's the thing, connecting. It's like with the Blazers and stuff. Oh my God, well then you got to meet my tailor. You should meet so it's helping other people as well, or push the envelope. When you got a client that I could never pull that off. Well, like you could definitely pull it off. Like you should definitely. And then they try it out, and just it's just I don't know. You can have fun with, and you can just throw stuff together. It's just. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day. I went through so much of my life worrying about what everybody else thought about me and cowtailing my own personal, who I am as a human, because I was so, just lost in my own codependency. And I've broken a lot of that, from work, like what we do and working on myself. And now it's like, now I go to places and I look around. I used to go to a room and I'd say, Josh, I got to meet everybody in the room, future prospect. Now I go in the room and I think, shit, do I want to talk to anybody in the room? You know what I mean? I never gave you a choice when I was younger. I was on you. Now it's like I just sit back and relax and then say, well, maybe I'll go over there, and that's just how we roll now.
Yeah. Well, so for all my nice blazers are collecting dust in my closet at this point, due to the change in career. But I got to bust that nice tux one out in Vegas. That looked good. And what you mentioned about the energy, though, I want to key on. For those, like, we're all energy beings, right? And so when you meet with someone, you're either plugging in or pouring out. And anytime someone meets with Chris or just is around Chris, they're plugging in. And that's why I asked you the energy. So not only did Ben ask that energy question, Matt Heckman asked a very similar one. So I didn't ask his because they're very similar to what Ben asked you.
All great people.
Right. And mutual friends of ours. So I wanted to make sure they had some input on today's conversation. So it's just interesting. Is like, I wanted to ask you that question because you're constantly giving people energy. Like it just exudes from you. And so, like you said, when people get to know you, they're like, oh, I just want to be around that guy. And so I'm just encouraging others, like if you're not bringing that type of energy to the table, and you don't have to be, 10 out of 10 like Chris is most of the time, maybe you bring an 8 out of 10 and it's only part of the time, but people want to be around you. They want to plug into you. That is a life hack that I don't think enough people use, because too many people in our lives are energy vampires, as John Gordon would like to say. They're just sucking the energy from you and you're not getting anything from you, and then that for yourself. And then you go home and you're drained and you can't give anything to your family. So you got to surround yourself with people like Chris Koon that are feeding energy into you.
No, that's awesome. And I will tell you that because I know we're about to close up. I just started writing my first book ever.
Yes.
Forever. So
we'll have you back on as soon as that's done, so
yes,
we can promote it.
Yes, because I mean it's something I put off for years and years and years. But anyway, I'm after this year and God putting it on my heart, I'm in process. So yes, that would be fantastic.
Well, that's good. All right. So last question as we wrap up. What's an unpopular belief that you hold to be true that most others would disagree with?
Well, it's a sad thing to say in this day and age that we live in, but if you could see the back of my office, like you have the Spartan flag basically behind you. I have the United States of America flag hangs proudly in my office. I love this country, and I love the men and women who have sacrificed their lives for our freedoms. And I feel like the world that we live in America that I'm in today, is lacking leadership. And more importantly, valuing what a privilege and an honor it is to be born in this country from places. This is the greatest country in the world. And I feel so sad for my children and kids coming into the world today that there's this belief that we're not great, and all the devices,
divisiveness.
It just saddens me. But you have to step out on your principles, and you have to know what's right and what's wrong. And we can't cowtail to all this wackiness going on in the world. So I would tell you that the thing is that, my flag hangs in my house. You pull up to my front of my house, the American flags, they're proud. Like, I love this country, and I would never put her down, and nor would I be around anybody that would try to burn her flag in front of me.
Yeah. Well, you better watch it. You're going to end up on a terror watch list for just saying you're pro-American nowadays.
I know it's just the saddest thing in the world. And when you look like you and I do too, we're the one, we're racist, right? So, but we want to, and again, that could be a whole other podcast, but That's the
I do
sad
those
thing.
podcasts too.
But the sad thing is, in the world you asked me, it's like, being proud, to like, I love this country, and it just pains me to see people, to see the way we're being pushed into directions and nobody's speaking up and standing up except a few people. Like Andy Frisella, obviously, stands up in a big way.
Yep.
But
and sharing his message is a big deal because he's put himself out on a limb.
Oh yes.
And he's risking a big business and a big life to do it. So
yep.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So I couldn't agree more with you. It's
can I tell you one thing in closing for you?
Yeah.
Is I just want you to know, like, I'm so proud of you, like the adversity and the things I know that you've been through. And to see how you've been able to, like, somebody would have taken that and allowed that to be their end of their life. Like, they could have just held on to that and said, I was so successful, this, and this, and that could have been your story for 20 years. And you just really just brushed yourself off and you got started in this business, your coaching business, doing all the great things you are, helping entrepreneurs. I would lean into you to do more, to do bigger, to have people participate in bringing people to your new place that you're building and doing, all types of really cool, different things for people, because you have a gift, and you walk your talk too. That's the thing. Like, I know, you work out super hard. Like, you're a great husband, you're a great dad. You're living your talk, and you don't have to talk. But I'm just really proud of you, how you weathered a very difficult time in your life.
I appreciate that.
Not one time have I ever heard you complain. Not one time have I ever heard you say anything negative whatsoever throughout the process. And so that I just respect so much.
I appreciate that. And the truth be told with it all is I couldn't for my kids. I couldn't mail it in. I couldn't become a victim. That's not how I want to raise them.
You're a victor, dude.
Yeah. So I appreciate the kind words. It was never an easy process to go to that. But it's interesting, of all the podcasts I've done, well, almost all the entrepreneurs I know, and just thinking about you getting sober almost 33 years ago, like, there's always been a major adversity within them. And I had faced adversities before, but nothing to the degree that I faced 2 years ago. But there's always something that's just a catalyst that takes them to the next level. And so when you dig back on all these great people, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Steve Jobs getting fired from Apple, like his own company that he invented, like anyone in history, there's a major adversity that they've overcome and triumphed over instead of packed it and mailed it in.
That's beautiful.
So, all right. Well, how can people follow you?
So you can follow me at the Cooner1 on my Instagram. The Cooner1 is the best, or it's Chris Koon on LinkedIn. Would be the two places, but Instagram seems to be the place where the greatest
knees these days.
Yeah, it's just easy, with follow, all the people you meet, everybody's on there. We can message each other, have a great time. So the Cooner1 would be ideal. Awesome.
And then everybody keep an eye out for it, and I'll make sure that we're publicizing and having Chris back on when the book comes out. I know it's going to be fire.
I appreciate that.
Your energy will pour through those pages, so it'll be great. And Spartans, remember that good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan today.